Chapter 1 Zeph. Halfway up a tree that reached 60 feet in height, a griffin clung beak down and surveyed the forest floor. Several large, flightless ground parrots pecked at crushed berries. Violet stains covered their green plumage. The berries were casualties of a conflict much higher up. 2 flying squirrels fighting on the sunny treetops had dropped them, splashing the griffin with juice when the fruit landed. While the rush of sugar the berries offered had been tempting, that was short-term thinking. Instead, Zeph had groomed the juice from his feathered face, left the area, climbed one of the many massive redwoods, and glided back to a good vantage point, the one he now occupied. The local ground parrots had become wary of fresh scratches on trees that marked the climbing habits of griffins. Not that ground parrots were particularly bright birds. The species as a whole survived mostly by virtue of laying many eggs, foraging effectively, and running away at the slightest provocation. A plump parrot, a full 4 feet in height, shouldered its competition out of the way. There were a few squawks of indignation, then the birds all froze and looked around to see if anything had hurt them. Zeph remained unmoving against the tree, his banded brown fur and feathers matching the slits of light against the bark. Backward-facing dew claws on each paw held him in place, and even allowed him to slowly climb higher should the need arise. Several more parrots peeked out from the overgrowth and jostled each other to peck the last of the berries. Just as the original plump one took a swipe at its rivals, Zeph pounced from the tree, crushing the bird on impact. The other parrots fled in all directions, scracking with alarm, and Zeph set off after the next largest. Thick ferns blanketed the dimly lit forest floor, providing cover if his quarry slipped out of view. Heavy storms normally provided lightning to burn away the ground cover during the summer months, but this year there hadn't been any fires, and the vegetation was at its thickest in living memory. The parrot squeezed under a rotting log. Zeph leapt over it and spread his wings, gliding in pursuit. Thick vines and branches bred agile forest griffins with hollow, muscle-covered bones to enable flight. Bones that broke easily if they caught on something. He did his best to drive the parrot towards the edge of the redwoods. Once it was in the grasslands between the Weald and the Eyrie, it would be an easy catch. Right as well-groomed feathers, the parrot burst out of the forest, and Zeph pounced. He held it down with his ever-useful dew claw and snapped its neck with his beak. The sun beating down on his wings was a pleasant change from the shade of the forest, so he spread out his plumage and looked towards the Eyrie. The Opinikai had built a large city at the northern tip of the Redwood Valley, nestled against the mountains. The forest around the Eyrie was well maintained, and they'd cleared a large swath of trees between them and the Weald to create grasslands for capybara herds and farms. Ground parrot was tastier and healthier than capybara, but parrot meat's unique flavor made it worth significantly more than just its nutritional value to Ophinicus merchants. The parrots around the Eyrie had fled when the Opinikai cleared out the undergrowth, and the untamed griffin lands were the only place to get them now. Zeph looked to see how the capybara herds were doing. Instead of large rodents chewing and lazing about, the ground was soaked in wet blood. The fence at the edge of the grasslands had been destroyed, and a trail of dark red led into the Weald. He grabbed his kill in his beak and retreated to the safety of the trees. Zeph returned to the smashed berries to find Hatzel standing over his first kill. A full 5 feet at the shoulders, she dwarfed him. Her feathers were a brown so dark they appeared black this far down the canopy. Only at higher tiers would the light reveal where her feathers stopped and her dark fur began. She was built for strength, bulky by Gryphonic standards, and her beak had jagged edges on either side that resembled saber-like fangs. "Zeph?" She trilled a greeting to let him know she'd seen him. He put the second parrot down. "Hatzel?" Their names played together like the call of a songbird. She bowed a little in front of the plump parrot. He nodded to her and returned the second kill to his beak. They dragged the parrots through the brush, back to the nesting grounds.